Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, so we're all constantly hearing about the AI race, right? But what if the race itself is actually changing? We've dug into insights from places like McKinsey, OpenAI, and Stanford, and today we're going to break down how the rules of AI are being totally rewritten. And this is all happening by 2026. This question right here, it's everywhere, plastered across every single headline. You see it constantly. New models, new benchmarks, new breakthroughs, and it's all framed like this mad dash to the top. But what if that whole way of thinking is just wrong? What if asking who's winning makes us miss the real story of what's actually happening? Because here's the secret, right? It's not a simple race to a finish line anymore. The competition itself, well, it's evolving. It's shifting away from this brute force sprint for raw power to something way more nuanced, way more practical, and frankly, a whole lot more interesting. So by 2026, the AI market is going to look completely different. The new game, it's not about who has the single best model. It's about who can use these incredible tools most effectively out in the real world. Okay, so let's really dig into what that actually means. All right, first big shift we got to wrap our heads around. We need to move away from this obsession with leaderboards and technical scores. The game isn't about building a slightly better engine anymore. It's about who's the better driver. It's about pulling real, tangible, everyday value out of these things. And look at this. This shows the first big shocker. The performance gap between the big AI models, from OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, you name them, it's closing, and it's closing fast. What that means is, for a ton of different tasks, they're basically becoming interchangeable. And that changes everything. The power is literally flipping from the AI labs over to you, the user. So the big question isn't which model is the smartest anymore. The real question is, which model fits right into my workflow? Which one just plugs into the tools I already use every single day? It's all about integration now, not just raw intelligence. And look, this isn't just happening on its own. There are some huge forces pushing this change. First, performance at the top is all clustering together. Then you've got the open weight models, the free ones anyone can use, and they're catching up like crazy. Plus, costs are just plummeting. And get this, the hardware is now 105,000 times more efficient than it was a decade ago. It's turning powerful AI from something rare and expensive into a common utility, just like electricity. So, we all have this sci-fi dream of a fully autonomous agent that does everything for us. But the real-world value, right now, it's not about replacing humans. It's about supercharging them. The sweet spot, where the real work is actually getting done, is in these structured, repeatable workflows. You let the AI do all the heavy lifting, and then a human comes in for that critical final judgment. And the data totally backs this up. When you look at the market, companies are getting way more success, way more ROI by scaling these very specific workflow tools. Think of them like specialized AI assistants. They're having way more luck with that than trying to roll out some true all-purpose agent. In fact, those agents are still less than 10% of what's actually being used out there. Okay, so this is the absolute key takeaway for this first part. Think about your job, find a task you do over and over. That weekly report, those sales emails, analyzing customer feedback, whatever it is. Break it down and let AI handle all the predictable stuff. This human-in-the-loop thing, that's where the massive productivity gains are going to come from. All right, let's move on to the next big shift. If the AI model itself is becoming a commodity, then what isn't? What's the new valuable thing? It all comes down to who gets to use this incredible power and how they do it. And the answer? It's probably not what you think. What we're seeing is that AI is acting as this massive equalizer. Get this. A recent report found that a staggering 75% of people in business are using AI not just to do their old jobs faster, but to do complex things they literally could not do before. Just think about that for a second. This isn't just making us faster, it's fundamentally expanding what people are capable of. And this just perfectly shows how career value is getting totally reshuffled. You know those roles that are purely about technical skills, the dashboard person, or even the niche prompt engineer? Well, they're kind of losing their special edge. Why? Because AI is making those skills available to everyone. The real opportunity is blowing up for the domain experts, the salesperson who just gets their customer, the marketer who lives and breathes the brand. Now they can actually execute their own ideas without needing some technical middleman. And here's another thing. As these models get scarily good at just understanding us, the secret to a great result is changing. It's less about writing the perfect, clever prompt and way more about just feeding the AI good information. You can actually have a vague prompt now, and it's fine, as long as you give the AI the right context, like the project brief, your latest emails, or your company's style guide. This quote right here, it explains everything about the huge platform war happening between Google and Microsoft. They're in this frantic race to bake AI into everything they do. Why? Because they know that whoever owns your context, your emails, your documents, your calendar, they own your attention. They can build an AI assistant that's so useful you can't live without it, and that, my friends, is how they lock you in. Okay, so for our third and final shift, let's talk about how AI is breaking out of our screens and moving into the real physical world. And this isn't just a story about robots, it's also about the basic economics that are going to power this whole thing. Which brings us to a huge, huge problem: money. The sheer computing power you need to run these top-tier models is, well, it's astronomically expensive. So how on earth do you give billions of people access to this stuff without charging every single person a fortune in subscription fees? The whole industry is basically facing a choice. Path number one, expensive subscriptions. But that would create a kind of AI wealth gap, right? Where only the rich get the best tools. Path number two, and this is the likely one for getting it to everyone, is an ad-supported model. Yeah, I know, nobody loves ads. But they might be the trade-off we have to make sure everyone gets access to the best AI, not just a handful of people. And it's not just about the money. AI's impact is absolutely exploding into the physical world. I mean, look at Waymo's self-driving cars. They're proving to be way safer than human drivers. Or think about Amazon's warehouses, where robots are just slashing the time it takes to get you your stuff. And in factories, industrial robots are being deployed at a scale that is just breathtaking. I love this quote from Mary Meeker. It just nails the new reality. Think about it. A physical machine like a car or a tractor used to be a depreciating asset. The moment it rolled off the line, it just got older and less valuable. That's over. Now, these things are becoming more like your phone. The physical hardware is what it is, but it gets smarter, safer, and better over time, all through software updates. Okay, so we've talked about these huge shifts in the tech, in the economics, even in the skills that matter. So what's the big takeaway here? How do you even begin to navigate this new world? Well, experts are starting to call this the jagged frontier. It's this messy, unpredictable, but also kind of thrilling time where AI gets amazing at one thing, but is still weirdly bad at another. In this kind of environment, the old rules are just gone. And you want to know the truth? There are no real experts yet. No one has this all figured out. And that right there resets the whole game for everyone. In this new era, your biggest advantage isn't what you already know. It's how fast you can learn, how willing you are to experiment and adapt. So the most important question you can ask yourself isn't what can AI do? It's what am I going to do with it?